Nice sunny day. I like good days. But today is something in particular that's been on my mind for a while, and then what helped was actually a video that I saw recently. Conspiracies is a channel that I watch and enjoy. Actually, Peter Gregg brought me up to Conspiracies, and if you don't know that channel, he does an alternate take on cameras, very unique, almost like harsh criticisms at camera companies, which is very entertaining to watch. You should definitely subscribe to his channel. But one of the themes of his channel has always been finding the perfect camera, and in one of his most recent videos he feels like he found his next perfect camera, and that in itself turns out to be, spoiler alert, first I recommend you watch his video and then come back here, but his camera of choice ended up to be the GH5's. But watching that video, I could almost pinpoint, before he even mentioned, like, he was telling a story on how hard it was for him to get the camera, which was sent to him free. It was hard to get because he had a few incidents with the mail, as sometimes we all do. But watching the video, I'm like, he got the GH5. Turned out to be the GH5's, but immediately when I was watching his video, I can tell that he got the GH5. Now, if you're watching this video, you already know the title. It's my kind of criticism of the GH5 when it comes to the fact that it really has turned out not to be a camera that I am a huge fan of. Let's get into the details. Here we go.
Behind you with like the clouds, the sky and everything, and still be able to see.
We've got the Rode video mic. Here we go.
M50. What do you guys think?
Alright, so GH5 itself is an amazing camera. Let's talk about the good stuff first. It's got 60p internal 4K recording. It was one of the first mirrorless cameras to actually offer that, and you could do 4K 60p 10-bit 422 through the HDMI port to record to an external recorder, which is great. You also have the ability to do 10-bit 422 internal at 30 and 24p in 4K resolution. Then you've got slow motion up to 180 frames per second in 1080p, 240 frames if you got the GH5's. The in-body stabilization on the GH5 is amazing. The GH5's doesn't have in-body stabilization, but it does have better low-light performance thanks to its dual native ISOs. So a ton of features that make it great, and one of the best things, of course, is the fact that, anyway, one of the best things that it has is the flip screen. Now, I have harsh criticisms of flip screens itself, but when I bought it, I was so excited because this was going to help my production. And this is not a knock against Micro Four Thirds cameras. I actually enjoy Micro Four Thirds cameras and everything that they can produce. So, but I'm going to get into why this has been actually one of my least used cameras. And not all of it has to do with the autofocus. Right now I'm vlogging with the Pocket Cinema Camera 4K in this nice beautiful day, and it's got basically no continuous autofocus. I have to use the autofocus button when I set myself and then just basically pray that I'm in focus for most of the shot. If not, I've got to do this 2 or 3 times, but I've gotten used to it. So that's not so much of a big deal. The big deal comes in a couple other cases. Now let me get into it. Anyway, I'm using a Speedbooster with the BMPCC 4K. And that in itself is helping me film. Now, the reason I use a BMPCC, I used to have a Lumix lens until I broke it. But the one thing that I noticed with that lens is that the light performance was horrible. It was a 14 to 140 lens. I think it was a 3.5 to 6.3 Lumix 14 to 140 lens. And that thing was horrible in low light on the GH5. And when I wanted to get a nice shallow depth of field, or I wanted to have a lot of flexibility, I just couldn't get it. Man, I got sirens and everything here constantly. When looking for a 50mm f2.8 equivalent, such as what Canon could offer, very cheap price, a f1.8 at like just over $100, that nifty 50. Trying to get a nifty 50 equivalent for this camera was more expensive, over $400 for an f1.4 25mm. And then if I do get a 50mm, something that extends a little bit more, like a 35mm, that's like an equivalent to like a 70mm low light performance, which you get for cheaper prices, but it's not the same focal length, and you definitely don't get the same performance or what you'd want. So, but when you factor in a speed booster, you can actually, now granted, the Metabones Speedbooster that I have is over $650, but then it converts and saves money, and so much more lenses that you can actually pick up give you equivalent or better performance than what they're worth, which is what I wanted off of the speed booster. Not even that was really the driving factor, because I didn't mind using the speed booster, and the autofocus performance wouldn't be that great with the speed booster, but what drove me away specifically was the color science. The Panasonic color science. I could never get it to look right. I did a video where I was testing the sharpness of the Lumix versus the Samsung NX1 and the 5D Mark IV. 5D Mark IV colors are amazing. I love that camera. It's got so many goods versus, you know, workarounds which you have to do. But the color science of the GH5, it's a tough workaround, especially when you've had a long shoot already. And then after that shoot, you come home and you record log. It has the ability to record log. I installed it on this camera. And you got that 10-bit 422, so you can really play with the colors in post. But man, some of it is just horrendous. And you have a lot more work to do in post just to get the colors right. Whereas the 5D Mark IV, I have a trustable color profile. I turn that on and then I'm good to go. That in itself is like frustrating, and I can't tell you how many shoots that I think are wonderful, and I come back and I'm like, this looks so bad. The colors just pull in, not a magenta, but like a greenish hue. And I could do a custom white balance with the GH5 and use a white card and try to go, and you can get amazing colors off of this, but it requires a bit of work. Whereas I can set up my Blackmagic camera pretty quickly. I record raw, so I barely even worry about colors. 5D Mark IV, easy to get the colors right. NX1 is really sharp and a bit saturated. However, the colors look beautiful out of the camera, right out the box. I mean, I have no problem just working off the camera, recording what I see off that screen, and knowing that when I put it on the monitor, it's gonna look even better than what I thought it would. And that always happened, but with the GH5, I just struggled with the colors. And that's what I'm talking about with Camera Conspiracies channel. When he was recording, he had such a shift towards like orange and green in his video that immediately I recognized it. I'm like, that's the GH5 color science. And I've had to record videos completely over again with different cameras because of the GH5's, well, a mixture of the GH5's terrible autofocus that would ruin videos, but mostly the colors of the GH5. And when it comes to wanting to turn around at least some videos quickly, I'd rather not spend a long time playing with the color science. Now, I don't have that issue with the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 4K because I record in RAW, just the ISO afterwards if I have to. Most of the time I get it right. Apply a LUT, boom, I'm good. 5D Mark IV, I just look at the footage, I'm like, I don't have to edit this at all. NX1, same thing. It's usually on point with what I want. With the GH5, almost every time I hate the colors. It's not like I'm inexperienced when dealing with colors and tweaking colors in post. It's the fact that the colors that you get out of this camera are difficult to work with in post. Thank goodness it's 10-bit, because if not, I'd have a lot of angry reactions to the colors that I have when I deliver my videos. So anyway, let me know what you guys think about the color science of the Lumix GH5, or what your workarounds are, or if you love the color. I mean, this is my personal opinion. I know a lot of people who just love the color science of the camera. I particularly don't, and due to the bad autofocus, difficult prices for lenses. The lenses are great, but the pricing is wrong for the Micro Four Thirds system. The bad colors, I mean, this thing gets the least usage out of all my cameras. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Hopefully you're not too angry with me, but it's the truth. I've been thinking about selling this and getting another Canon. All good. Haircut got. Oh, that was bad hair. Anyway, as always, like, share, and you can make my day if you subscribe today. This is Magnus with a fresh haircut, and I'm out. See you guys later.